Hello and welcome. This is 60 Minutes with me, Angela Jetumobi, and I'm starting again with a quick reminder for those of you who missed out on the consultation with the Indian doctors led by Rajiv Taneja from the Medcres Health Group. Mr. Taneja has informed me that they will be here in October and will be spending 3 to 4 days in Lagos. That's in the southwest part of Nigeria. But they will be seeing a maximum of 500 patients. Now, medical consultations with the doctors themselves will cost $50 and is payable only at the point where you see them. However, because there is a restriction on the number of patients that the doctors will see, it is pegged to 500. So you have to get your name on that register if you want to be seen by Rajiv and his doctors when they come in October. Don't forget, you don't have to come personally to register. Anyone can do it for you by proxy. Registration is 1,500 naira and it is ongoing now. So if you know you want to be one of the 500 patients that Rajiv will see when he comes, please do your registration now. But this week, my host, a man who has achieved cult-like devotion from his political followers. Listen to what he says about his recent rumored terminal illness. He quotes from the Quran. He says, "Fain would they extinguish Allah's light, but Allah will not allow. But that his light should be perfected, even though the unbelievers may detest it." Well, if you're a Muslim, those words will be familiar. His dream, in his own words, is to turn his 20-year state into a mid-regional market for agricultural and finished products and make it an alternative to Lagos, at least for the people of the Middle Belt. Well, he was born 50-something years ago. He studied mechanical engineering at the Polytechnic Ibadan, that's in Osun State in the southwest region of Nigeria, and he has paid all his dues both in the private and public sector. A delegate to the Social Democratic Party's first national convention in Abuja in 1990, he subsequently became actively involved in the pro-democracy struggles of the 90s. He assumed office dramatically on November 27, 2010, for a term of 4 years as governor of a 20-year-old state. Yes, his state was created in 1991, August 27 to be precise, by the former military president, Ibrahim Babangida. He was Lagos State Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure for total 8 years, while the former governor, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was in office, and that's why a lot of people say he's undoubtedly qualified to hold that post, even as governor of his state. A former director of the Bola Ahmed Tinubu campaign organization, the group which engineered the electoral victory of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as governor of Lagos State in 1999. To date, in spite of being governor of his state, he remains the secretary Alimosho Local Government Area Elders Forum, as if to underscore his political grip on that area. He started to harbor, the area started to harbor the largest number of eligible voters in Lagos State, and after all, they do say in Alimosho, the fear of him is the beginning of wisdom. If you doubted his cult-like status, ponder how only his state in the last presidential elections delivered to his party's presidential candidate. How did he do that? Well, they say just because the governor said so. So, join me after the break. I'm spending 60 minutes in the land where the people have reaffirmed themselves as belonging to a land of good people. The governor himself, nicknamed Oromiyan, they say Oromiyan, Oromiyan, that's what they call him. But he's affectionately called Symbol. His vision, he says, is to build a state that will be economically viable, self-sustaining, and ensure economic development that will make his people independent, happy, and prosperous in their individual engagements. Sounds simple, doesn't it? Join me after the break. Welcome back, and welcome to you, Governor Aregbesola. Thank you very much for agreeing to spend 60 minutes with me on the program. Now, let's start from here. I saw a notice of impeachment for you, and they gave a deadline. They said August 29. The PDP is willing, calling on the electorate to take advantage of their willingness to recall members of the House if they fail to start impeachment proceedings against you. And I'm looking at the date. This is almost the end of September. So have you been served a notice of impeachment? How is that going along?
Well, you are the first person that will raise this issue, and it's either you really take them seriously or you are quite strange to the method and strategies of PDP. PDP, having been worsted in the electoral contest here in Osun State, is desperate for relevance. And for that reason, they are not leaving anything, whether reasonable or unreasonable, to force attention to themselves. So in reality, how could anybody take seriously a party that was defeated in every seat it contested in April, charging or threatening to recall those who were legitimately elected against his own candidates?
Yes, but they said that.
Let me tell you an interesting thing about this party. You know, in the entire south of Nigeria, for whatever reason, I'm not intellectual about it, for whatever reason, PDP presidential candidate, let's even excuse the very many charlatans that they paraded at the elections there and were defeated totally and in an humiliating manner. Let's overlook those. Let's now concentrate on the best that PDP could parade, which is President Goodluck Ebele Jonathan. That candidate won in all the states of the South. The only state where it could not win was my state in April. And the Katawalas who want to draw attention to themselves in that state, threatening to recall. In fact, I appeal to them to go ahead. We are not only popular, we represent the subdued interest, passion, and life of our people.
How have you been able to achieve that? Because you came into consciousness with that defeat at the presidential election. There was no doubt in anybody's mind where Osun was headed, but you were the only state in the Southwest that delivered to its presidential candidate.
Well, the simple answer is that we capture the essence of the political desire, the political interest, the political aspirations of our people. That's all.
But the PDP says that your winning is not because the former governor did badly. It's not because the PDP didn't perform. It's just because the people wanted change. Change for the sake of change, not because of any great thing that the ACN has done.
Well, first of all, let's put this in perspective. I entered the political climate or atmosphere of air,
yes,
visibly on the 15th of April 2005. Some few months before that date, the incumbent actually boasted that there was no opposition against him or his party. That was around February 2005.
yes.
And I came out in the open to say that his era had finished.
How were you able to predict that?
Because we were able to gauge the aspiration, political aspiration of the people. They weren't satisfying them. It was clear, very, very clear and manifest.
Yes.
The Yorubas are by nature progressives. Anything that will not address that progressivism,
yes,
inherent in Yorubas, cannot gel with them. It's just impossible.
yes,
That is one.
yes,
Two, the regime that was foisted on our people by the PDP since 2003 was totally antithetical, unacceptable, rejected by the generality of Yoruba people. They are loud unreasonably. They do not address the basic desires of the people, and they turn their values upside down.
What would you call the basic desires of the people?
Welfare, their welfare, essentially the welfare, their well-being, their freedom,
Yes,
their liberty to go about their whatever they choose to do. Those are the basic desires of the Yoruba man or person. However, you asked the question I have not answered.
Yes.
You asked this question of how did we do it?
Yes.
It's simple. One, as I've said, it was not in doubt that the PDP is hated by the ordinary Yoruba person because it does not reflect their basic desire for existence. And you did allude to the fact that my winning was just because change was desired.
Change, yes.
Let's even assume for the purpose of this discussion
Yes.
that was true. If that was it,
Yes.
why did Oyilola fail to win his local government as a senatorial candidate? If that was true. If that was true, how did Omishori fail to win his ward? The meaning of these things
yes,
is that the people told Oyilola clearly that he was not even fit to be a local council chairman. That is the simple interpretation of his performance at the polls. The simple interpretation, political interpretation,
yes,
of the performance of Omishori in his senatorial district, where he lost in his ward, is that had he contested for councillorship, he would lose. The people simply told him that you are not even fit to represent us in the council, the ward, that you are not fit to represent this ward in the council. That is the simple interpretation. The only one among them that even attempted to show some class or presence
yes,
was Adeleke, who was able to return electorally in the two local governments, in his nativity, in his native Edeland.
yes,
He was able to win in those local councils. So, out of the whole three,
yes,
top notchers of PDP, only one demonstrated some presence in his own land. All the others were not defeated, they were humiliated. So if politics is about popularity, if politics is about acceptability by the people, if politics is about having some measure
yes,
of political presence, which can only be determined by returns of votes.
yes, the numbers.
Returns of votes. Definitely what the Osun people had told the PDP is that you are a nuisance. Simple. Because if they are not a nuisance, they would have won even one House of Assembly seat. They did not. They lost everywhere.
Okay. All right, we'll take our first break. I'm spending 60 minutes in Osogbo, the capital city of Osun State, and the governor is my host. Join me again after the break. Welcome back. Now, the former Speaker of Osun State House of Assembly, now, he's reacted to your accusations of the plot to impeach him. He says you should have called him before going to press, but let me give you his quote. He says, "It is true that we held a meeting with former President Obasanjo, but our meeting only bordered on how to build the party. The Vice President and Senate President were mentioned in the alleged plot, but nothing was farther from the truth." And he says, "There was no pressure on me to cause the House to impeach the governor." Does that change your mind about the plan?
Well, Rauf Aregbesola,
yes,
is a gentleman. I won't say more than that.
Yes.
And to that extent, I will really not want to take up issues with him.
Okay.
But he knows that I know.
Yes.
That there was a huge plot against my administration in the first week of its existence. And that the trial I mentioned were actively involved. A lot of money was raised, close to $500 million. The fact that the overwhelming majority of Osun people will not take such a rubbish prevented it. Beyond that, it will be unnecessary. And that actually brings to mind the fact that the party that could not muster the courage to initiate impeachment process with a huge sum of money, close to $500 million, when it had 19 seats in the state assembly to our 7.
Yes.
What could be the basis for his threat to now initiate an impeachment process?
He says if the people don't start that process, they will recall them.
I say, no, don't. Let's actually put this thing in perspective.
Yes.
A party that could not initiate, even with a huge sum of money, close to $500 million, at its best time, when it controlled 19 of the 26 seats to our 7. At
that time, it could have gotten the majority.
So why couldn't that party do that then? And what could be the rationale behind this? It's empty. I want to put in clear view either the malady or the stupidity of the party and its acting chairman. What they are talking about is just gas, hot gas. They are so far away from the popular opinion in Osun State. Everybody here will attest to the fact that Osun never enjoyed this level of peace throughout the 7.5 years they were here.
Yes, but
they were chasing shadows and without creating crisis.
Yes, but Governor Aregbesola, you yourself, you've admitted that in 90 months, that's 7.5 years of the Oyinlola administration, they only had 48 cabinet meetings. So why wouldn't the state be peaceful when you are not even having many meetings?
Well, the state was not peaceful because of their character. They are violent. They fight among themselves so bitterly, and they do not spare any opposition at all. They were not ready to see, talk less of hearing an opposition. Oh, I went through hell.
Yes.
My party members, supporters, and sympathizers went through hell. I don't know how much of this you knew.
Yes.
One of my financiers, Olajokun Azan Alabi, was killed that sadly at Bogon Junction in front of his teenage daughters. A month after our open launching of our political movement, several people lost their lives.
For this?
Because we were courageous enough to seek the mandate of the people. My mother, an octogenarian, was driven out of her home of over 50 years because she gave birth to me among several other children.
And what was the official offense?
Nothing. Our son was courageous enough to challenge
want to be governor.
Yes. And for that reason, she must be driven out of her home of over 50 years. I mean, several horrible things were done by these people that when you hear them talk now,
yes,
you just wonder whether they are living in a fool's paradise or they are just totally out of their mind, psychotic.
Now, we come to a very sore point, which the PDP is also talking about. You're running the state for months without commissioners. I know that the Constitution supports you if you don't have commissioners. All the Constitution says to you is if you do want commissioners, these are the steps to follow. So they're saying that a lot of things that you did in those months you didn't have commissioners didn't follow due process.
Let them challenge it. That should be the natural reaction. But beyond that, you have answered it.
Yes.
Beyond that, let us actually explore the circumstance of the period they are referring to. Okay. I was sworn in on the 27th of November, a week after the top echelon of the PDP
yes.
invited all the PDP members in the House of Assembly, 19 of them, to Abuja for strict instruction on how to impeach me.
Immediately you entered?
1 week. No, I'm talking on camera.
Yes.
1 week they were taken to Abuja. And because they didn't want anybody to know, they went through Ilorin Airport. These are facts that can be challenged. They met with them. All the three people I mentioned met with them. And attempted to manipulate them to that. But those people understood the current here. That any attempt to do such a thing will simply result in anarchy. So they did not agree.
Yes.
And I made it public. But it didn't stop there. For every issue we took to the House, it was not horse trading, it was giraffe trading. To get the caretaker committees through, we giraffe traded. To get the appropriation for our youth empowerment program,
yes.
Oh yes,
oh yes,
in which we wanted to employ 20,000 youth, it was hard bargain. Everything we did with the House, and this is not to impugn the character of those who are there, but the truth must be told nevertheless.
You didn't have a majority at the time.
Not just, we had a tough time dealing with the House. That it would be foolhardy of me to even attempt. And I think there was no basis for it.
Yes.
Because I would have had to share my cabinet members or positions with them. And I wasn't ready for it. That is that. Again, beyond politics, there's the economics. The economics of it is that these people, before the courageous judges at the Federal Court of Appeal returned our mandate, which we won really,
yes,
they had acquired a debilitating loan of about 18.38 billion naira. It was acquired in June. They have spent about 11.9 of it before we assumed office.
On what? On
several hopeless projects. Before we assumed office in November.
Yes.
The state, and again to compound it, they drew all as if currency was running out of stock. They drew all the 18.38 billion in one fell swoop. All. So from day one,
yes,
from day one of that loan, the state was compelled to pay 615 million naira service fee for the loan that they drew all at once on the same day, on one day. So with this debilitating and suffocating financial condition, the idea of even increasing the burden,
yes,
of the state by employing one extra person was a choice I couldn't make. For your information, up until now, myself, my deputy, we have not drawn a kobo as salaries.
How are you living?
Well, I was not indigent before I became the governor of Air. I want you to know that I had the grace of God to administer the most socially relevant ministry in the government of Lagos State.
Yes.
For 8 years. And I dare say that during that time, no state competed with my ministry in social infrastructure. No state. I could recall that a single project, I handled a single project to full completion worth about 12 billion naira. So, when you look at my pedigree,
yes,
it is very clear that to survive here without drawing a salary will not be a problem.
Okay.
Besides that, however, yes, the point I am trying to make is that the state was pauperized by the recklessness of my predecessor.
Yes, but
to the extent that it didn't even work. It did not even it amount to insensitivity for any conscious, prudent administration,
yes,
to see constitution of a cabinet as its priority. Where you are now, it's not supposed to be my lodge. This is the presidential lodge. It's a guest house. I have not moved to the official residence of the governor because there is simply no money
to move in
there. So if I deny myself,
yes,
the comfort of moving to the palatial mansion for the governor for close to 12 months of being in the saddle, why must I therefore disregard the burden, the financial burden that constituting a cabinet at that time,
yes,
with the hostility of the house as my priority? So when you combine the politics with the economy, you realize that the best to do at that time was to continue frugally with my effort at husbanding the resources of the state, giving the people the best in terms of service, and moving on.
Yes.
Nobody could fault any of our activities, because even at that time,
yes,
that these people claim to be a period without cabinet, we did things that very few administrations in Nigeria had attempted. We succeeded in putting 20,000 hitherto unemployed youth.
That was your promise, your campaign promise. 20,000 in 100 days, you said.
Yes.
Did you do it?
The question should not be, did I do it? You are trying to say that it's not an issue because I promised it.
Yes.
How many governments promised several things that never did? Obama promised to settle the issue of the Middle East. He hasn't done it.
Yes.
So please, let's separate this. That a thing was promised never meant that it could be done. After all, there are things I promised that I have not done still. But I'm just trying to tell you,
yes,
that in spite of the constraints of that period, we succeeded in doing what had never been done by any government, if not in West Africa, if not in Africa, in Nigeria. And I stand to be corrected or challenged.
All right. And when we come
back,
the
logistic of it, the logistic of even that, besides the money, was a nightmare. A nightmare. And I thank God. And those fantastic people stood by me to make it possible. And it has gone down in history that a government, an administration, has succeeded in putting together 20,000 unemployed youth and setting them on social and public works.
How have you managed? You know, because what I'm thinking of is, with the debt profile you've talked about now, I know that Osun State is not one of the states that receives the largest share of the Federation account. Yet you've promised you're going to pay over and above the national average of the minimum wage, 19,000 naira. But you take that question when we come back from the break. So join us again after the break. Let me tell you a little bit about the state. Its tourist attractions include the Osun Shrine at Osogbo, the state capital, Okpa Oromiyan at Ile-Ife, the Oni of Ife's palace, the Ife Museum, and the Erin-Jesha waterfalls. It has a landmass of 9,251 square kilometers, and natural resources include columbite, gold, granite, talc, tantalite, and tourmaline. But the governor is still here. I'm just wondering, 18.3 billion naira loan, your monthly salary bill is about 1.2, your internally generated revenue is about 300 million, yet you've gone 1,000 naira above the national average to promise 19,000 monthly to workers from levels 1 to 7, whereas most states are staying on level 6. How are you doing your math and coming out with this kind of salary?
Well, before I even go into that, which I will definitely touch,
yes,
let's continue with along the thread I was talking on before the interruption. I said that we succeeded in employing 20,000 youths who had been out of job for over 10 years, most of them. And several of them are not just mere people. We have among them first-class graduates in several fields. But I'm happy that today they are gainfully employed in helping the community, helping the society, and participating in social works. Besides that, we launched a major ethical revolution through the rebranding. Today, our people proudly admit and call themselves Omoluabi.
What does that mean when you say Ipinle Omoluabi?
It's the land of the virtuous people.
Virtuous
people.
Okay.
The land of the virtuous people. We have a slogan. We have an epithet. We have a flag. We have a crest. I mean, all these things sum up, help the people to have an identity that stimulates good personality.
Yes.
And that is helping in redefining the profile of the people of this and the state itself. After which we had a summit on education. And education is going to be reformed in a way that no government had ever attempted to do in Nigeria. For example, and I'll give this to you, we have broken the basic education into 3. Clear 3. Elementary, where you have primaries 1 to 3. Neighborhood schools. After which, we will go to junior schools that will be for primary 4 to JSS 3. And then high school for SS1 to 3. Okay,
primary 4 to JS3, that's
6 years. 6 years. Yes. And school structure, because we are not repairing schools, we are rebuilding schools to give us this profile or structure of education.
How do you propose to bring people back into the school system who've dropped out?
Oh, well, that's... If we answer all this at the same time, we might lose the other question you had asked, but I'll tell you.
Yes.
I'll tell you quickly. We are introducing school meals at the basic, at the very, very foundation level. All the students in the elementary schools, that is primaries 1 to 3, will be fed lunch free of charge by us. It's going to be financially heavy, but we believe that that is a worthwhile investment. Because if children at that tender age are well fed, malnourishment will be out, their brain will be well developed, education will be meaningful. These are the things we are doing. And to now go to, I mean, we have done all this. I must not fail to tell you that as at the time we are being accused of not forming cabinet, we were busy looking at how to salvage the state that had been totally plundered. What did we do? We went after financial institutions that could assist us, and we got one. First Bank came to our rescue with a 25 billion naira restructuring facility, with which we restructure the 18.38 debilitating loan such that what we now pay is never more than 100 million every month.
Instead of 615 million.
So if you look at that alone, if you take 100 million at best, from 615, it means we have saved this state the burden of paying 515 million since March. So if that debt was to be amortized in 36 months, if you take the months that they had paid it till March, that will be around 9 months. From 36, what do you get? You get 27. Multiply 27 by $500 million, you are talking of 13.5 billion naira. So we have saved this state the burden of having to pay 13.5 billion naira,
which can be put to other things.
Thank you. And I must tell you that because I mentioned that we are going to rebuild schools, that we are not going to rehabilitate the already destroyed school infrastructure. We are going to rebuild them.
How are you going to rebuild?
Thank you. To date, this administration that meant nothing in the kitty has saved at the state level alone 8.8 billion naira. I have 8.8 billion naira ready for my developmental projects in the bank. We've been able to equally save for the local governments 4 billion. And upon that, I have a facility in the First Bank, which is the balance between what we amortized of the spent amount of the loan and what is left. Not a kobo had been drawn from that facility. So when you add 8.8 to about 11.9 from 25, you have about 7 points.
And add the other 4.
You are talking about 13 billion, 13 plus 8. You are talking about 21 billion naira available for my developmental project. So I am not in any way under heavy strain to service or meet my vision for the state developmentally. But as to the salary, really the issue with the salary is not the money for the vulnerable categories of workers. No. I want to be clear on this. The workers on levels 1 to 7 are not the problem of the Nigerian government. The real problem is the misunderstanding and misinterpretation of the minimum wage. Minimum wage everywhere in the world is for the most vulnerable of all workers. Contract workers, casual workers, those whose income could hardly take them home. Not for the fat cats who are already out of the trauma, the anxiety, and the difficulties of existence.
But some of them are still thinking that a little bit of that 19 will be done on a pro rata basis, and that even if you're earning 40,000 a month, you will get something extra.
I've told you that the real interpretation of minimum wage, this is not a term peculiar to Nigeria. There's minimum wage in America, minimum wage in UK. Minimum wage classically is to ensure that no member of the society is left in an income belt that could not support or reproduce his life. Wages are meant to ensure that the earner could not only live by it, could be able to reproduce his life. So it is for that reason and purpose that I went beyond the regulated income of 18,000, because I know that even 18,000 is not a living wage.
Yes, but your GDP, you say, is the lowest, $183.
Of course.
How can you pay more than other states whose GDP is higher
you
than yours?
You seem not to understand this. My background is labor. I have commitment to labor, and I must exhibit that commitment and interest in whatever I do. Let me repeat again. It is not for there is no problem in meeting the yearnings of the vulnerable category of workers. Not at all. The real issue is in those who should not in any way expect, because once they are considered, the purpose of enacting the Minimum Wage Act will be lost and defeated. Because the real idea is to ensure that those whose income could not even take them to work, talk less of returning home with anything, are supported to live and reproduce their lives. Officers above that level are already earning income that could sustain and reproduce their lives. And this fact must be quite explained.
Yes.
It is when you have to now extrapolate to the categories of officers who will only want to use the opportunities given to the vulnerable workers for their own benefit opportunistically, that problem comes up. It is not in meeting the genuine desires of the vulnerable, low-paid workers.
You talked about the education sector and the model schools that you're going to build. You said it will never have been seen, you know, with the kind of schools you're planning to build. It will never have been seen in this part of Africa. What do you mean by that?
Well, simply that. I've told you, we are breaking, we are discarding
the cost of cement right now, sir.
Forget about the cost now,
yes.
because we will get there. You know, nothing can stop us. I've told you what
yes.
we have.
Yes.
We will do it. It's a duty. It's not an option anymore. It's a duty. The only way we can make our being here meaningful to us, responsible to the people, and historically relevant is to do those things. We have tinkered with the lives of our people so much that there must be a shift, a major shift from the rot of the past. And one area where that major shift must occur is in education. I've told you,
yes.
We went about the Education Summit and we came up with support of intellectuals and those who meant well for Nigeria with this brilliant idea of restructuring education completely, from infrastructure,
yes,
to the staffing and the curricula. It's not just an aspect, it's a holistic approach that will make education worthwhile. And we are most interested in the foundation of education, because if it is right there, it will be right forever.
Yes.
So I do not see any fear at all in my administration capacity to give to the people that we should make their life present and future worthwhile and meaningful.
I'm just thinking, should we talk about your health? I mean, I saw you playing soccer, and I'm sure the viewers will see that. You think that convinced a lot of people finally about your health?
In the first instance, there is no need convincing people. I believe that when charlatans talk and raise their idle insinuation, you just don't look at it. I want to believe those even watching me now and
yes.
yourself
yes.
will know that the person talking is not in any way infirm. You, from my diction, from my action, it will be clear whether I have any illness or not.
Yes, but you know, Governor Aregbesola, I'm thinking back to the time when the former late president was ill. And remember, we kept being told that some people would see him playing tennis, some people would see him doing this. I'm just thinking, did anyone see a medical report when you went to India and perhaps saw something that, you know, and they're holding on to that?
That is the question for them. Actually, it's more than that. These characters are diabolical. And honestly, I mean that seriously.
Seriously.
They think that with this insinuation, they could conjure some things. And they have failed. I mean, let's be clear on that. I mean, I interact with people all the time. I participate in all activities. Well, so there is no basis whatsoever for their ill will. None at all. They are working on using words to affect themselves, not me. And I will not be affected. That is that. Yeah. And I want to quickly say some few things that I was unable to capture when you asked your question. Though education is paramount and high on the list of priorities, it is not the only priority we have.
What is the other
We are
priority?
working on agriculture beyond any scope that any government had ever worked since Awolowo. As I'm talking to you, we have prepared over 2,000 hectares of land for distribution and allocation to any farmer who wants to work on the land for food production.
Is that the forest reserve at Orile where they say that the destruction...
Not forest
reserve.
Farm settlements that have been abandoned for well over 40 years.
But the PDP was saying somewhere that the people are angry with you for doing that.
You will appreciate what I've been talking about PDP if you visit Mokore yourself to find out whether the people are happy or are sad with us in our intervention. I will tell you one graphic.
Yes.
Mokore was established by Awolowo. And ever since the man left, there had not been any effort to even create an access to the place. Today, as I'm talking to you, there is an access to that place. That people, a king came to me that he had abandoned his farmland for well over 15 years. But with the access road which I have created, he has gone back there. Yeah, I mean, if I go out with you now,
yes.
Today is Sunday, 11:26.
Can you walk out?
No, if I go out in any form, whether I walk or I drive, there will be ecstatic jubilation on the street everywhere in Osun State, not only in some parts. If we know cuckoo, and that is not recent. It's not new. That was the situation even long before the court returned my mandate. We said it severally that organizations, even organizations that will not be in any way prejudiced, should organize a street walk between us and any one of them or all of them combined anywhere in Osun State.
Yes.
That the attraction and applause that we will get will dwarf whatever they get. We said it all throughout the period we were struggling for our mandate. And I'm repeating to you that they are not our match in any form, in any part of Osun State. We tower, not shoulder.
Yes.
We tower hip, above any one of them at any forum that you could ever imagine. So, if words will have meaning, PDP should at best, if it wants to be reasonable, keep quiet in Osun State.
Your argument that the federal government account is not the federation account and that anything the federal government undertakes must be agreed on by all the 36 states, including if there will be profit sharing. You know, are you standing by that, and are you not in the minority among the governors?
Whatever position I am, it does not matter. That's just the truth. Nigeria is a federation. And as I said in the public forum where I advocated this, to emphasize the federalism of Nigeria,
yes,
the name of Nigeria is not just Nigeria like Ghana. It's Federal Republic of Nigeria, regardless of the manipulation already undertaken by the military in their development of their own constitution, not the constitution of Nigerian people. Nigeria remains a federal state. And what federalism means is this: the constituting units are autonomous and independent within the limit of the nation state.
Yes.
To that extent, all incomes to the federation must go to federation account, from where, depending on the formula for redistribution, each of us will have our own dues. That's what I mean. Yes. It does not require any esoteric knowledge to understand it. And I want to even use a Yoruba expression, which says that kakakiki ni unshakapo fekun. Kolukaluku shode tie lototo. What that simply means is that instead for the lion to be the treasurer of the union between lion and tiger, I mean, let everybody go his own way, because lion has no pouch outside his mouth to keep anything is caught. So for federal government to combine the federation account with its own is a euphemism for unfair treatment of all the other stakeholders.
Will you be heading to court to impress this upon them?
Before court, I, along with others who believe in what I'm saying, will approach federal government for serious engagement to get it to understand and respect the fundamental essence of our nation, a federal republic.
Okay. On a final note, I saw your words after the appearance of the former governor of Lagos State and the leader of the Action Congress of Nigeria at the Code of Conduct Bureau. And you said that the trial of Asiwaju is political persecution. It does not matter who is behind it. But, you know, just thinking, one would have thought that all of you in the ACN will be thrilled now that finally this threat that's been hovering over Asiwaju for how many years will finally come to be sorted out once and for all. Why are you opposed to him appearing?
Let's first of all tell you.
Yes.
We all suffer from some form of amnesia as a people. And because of that general amnesia, we do not internalize the issues as they come up. Because if we do, it will be clear to you that from the threat to the actual persecution, politics is quite large and prominent. How many of them were initially accused of having foreign account? How many of them were threatened with persecution? How many of them have been persecuted? I won't mention names, but you know what I mean. So if that is the case, why must we disregard the clear intent of those who are after Asiwaju now? If you want us to be ridiculous as they are, yes, we can pretend, but we do not in any way play with serious issues. Awolowo was persecuted at his own time because he emerged as the clear leader of Yoruba political platform. MK Abiola was persecuted and killed at his own time because it became at a point the nucleus of the struggle of the Nigerian people. Would it have for true federalism?
Yes.
Genuine democratic process and freedom for the people. Bola Ige was harassed to death and killed because he dared to tell those who were there that he had had enough with them, that he wanted to go and reorganize his party Alliance for Democracy for victory. And because there was this total commitment to take over, either by free or foul means, the political tendency or current here, he had to be shot in his bedroom and killed. And to date, not a single person has been found responsible for that clear, dastardly act. So, another current and a living dynamo, who, without any doubt, had succeeded in mobilizing the people of the West to their old political sensibility and consciousness, which has led to the total rout of the PDP and whatever it represents in our region. So it's clear where they are going, and we have to warn them that we are conscious of what they want to do, but it will be a difficult sell. They will never succeed.
Symbol, are you the heir apparent? Now, you know, asking, I've been listening to you. I know the feeling of the people in Osun State. It would appear that you may be the successor.
You said it.
Yes.
I am simply committed to serving my people, and nothing will make me waver or falter.
Would it make any difference to you, perhaps, if the Code of Conduct Bureau brought out those people you say had also been accused previously with Asiwaju? Would that...
You know they will not do it. You know, I've told you, I've done the historical linkage.
Yes.
And I've made it, people know, our people are not in any way stupid. They are conscious and they understand what's at play. Whatever guise, whatever cover, whatever appearance they make,
yes,
the most important thing is that they will fail.
And I've been controlling myself from calling you Symbol. What does that mean? I want you to explain to the people.
Well, I'm not the one that originated that
name.
Sobriquet. I'm not. But if I want to go by it, from what I've heard from those people, they just I think it means symbol of the people, aspiration and expectation for good governance.
I want to thank you very much, Symbol, for having me in Osogbo, Osun State, the capital, for agreeing to spend 60 minutes with me and sharing all these views. Congratulations again on your state attaining 20 years. Thank you very much.
Pleasure, Angela.
Thank you very much.
I am happy to have the opportunity to, through you, talk to the people of Nigeria.
Thank you.
We have no reason to be here if we are not committed to the welfare and service for and to the people. That is our commitment. We are sure we are going to make it.
Well, that's it for this week. All the way from Osogbo, the state capital of Osun State. Let me know what you think. Share your thoughts with me. You can join me on Facebook, 60 Minutes with Angela on Facebook. Alternatively, you can send a text message or email to the email address showing on your screen, and we will forward them all to the governor himself. We will get replies for you if need be. So that's it. Don't forget to join me, same time, same station next week. I'm Angela Jetumobi. Thank you for the pleasure of your company.